I really don't have much to talk to a bunch of legislators about. I don't know about urban republicanism. I think that was a word I heard last night. Still don't know what that means. I don't have any policy to discuss with you at all because I don't know about that stuff. I certainly don't have the aptitude of a 27-year military official on terror, and I've got very little offer a bunch of state legislators that are in their homes working hard to do good things for their constituents. So what I do have to offer is a real old-fashioned term, which is leadership. And a lot of guys do what I do and run around the country talking about leadership. And if you're sitting, I've been in your seat and have heard that before and thought, God, another leader, who wants to hear another leadership speech or read another leadership book? But I want to talk to you about leadership maybe in a little bit of a different way and in a little bit of a personal way. But before we get started on that, I got a couple house cleaning items for you. One, my wife, Lisa, who have been married to for 23 years, is smoking hot. You need to understand that. You need to understand that because when you look at a fat redheaded guy, you know, that's like, she makes me look better and she's not here, so I just want to make sure y'all know that she's strong. Second thing is, I'm petrified of her. I'm scared to death of my wife, and any of you married men would be wise to be the same. So I'm out of my own business, running my company, coaching football in Memphis, and these guys show up to make a movie that I think we'll see on channel 384 at 2 a.m. some Wednesday on your cable channel. And 6 months later, I'm walking down the red carpet at the Academy Awards with all the A-listers. And the third thing you need to know about my wife is I've been on the Ellen DeGeneres show twice. I've been on Fox and Friends many times. I've been whatever Jessica set up at Fox, I was on. I've been on Sports Center a number of times. I'm the voice of Madden football. I've got a TV show. I've won an Academy Award. I mean, the list goes on. And I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you this to let you know that Lisa, my beautiful hot wife, who I am scared of, is wholly unimpressed. She could care less. She still sees me as the guy that always leaves the lid up. I'm just a guy. I mean, I'm a guy from Memphis who came from not much, coached football, and started a lumber company. I mean, I'm as milquetoast as you can get. I'm a football coach who's in a lumber company in Memphis. And that's what she sees. And so she's unimpressed by all of this stuff, which is another reason she's not here today, because she's not really impressed with me. She would have liked to meet y'all probably. So anyway, we're walking down the red carpet at the Academy Awards. Now, if you haven't been on the red carpet at the Academy Awards, which I assume not many of you have, I had not until this date, this will surprise you. TV makes things look like something they're really not. The red carpet is not much wider than this, actually. The other thing you need to know is in the theater, 95% of the people in the place go through a front door, a normal door. Everybody doesn't walk the red carpet. Just the A-listers walk the red carpet. I was with my guy, P. Diddy. I don't know how that happened, but I was, and me and P. Diddy. And I took a wrong turn, and Lisa and I end up on the red carpet. And so and what happens is it's got cubicles that are about 5 feet by 5 feet, and the press have a camera and an interviewer, and they're in their cubicle, and the camera's back here, and they're leaning out talking to the people as they come down the red carpet. It makes it look like they're walking in and amongst them, but they're not. They're just in their cubicles, and this thing is a gauntlet of press that runs probably 400 or 500 feet long. And so we're walking down the red carpet, and I just finished an interview with Ryan Seacrest, and as I back out, I step on somebody's toe because, again, it's a whole bunch of people in a small area like this, and you've been in a crowd like this where maybe you've turned and you accidentally step on somebody's toe and you kind of roll your ankle a little bit and you feel it and you turn to, of course, I'm from Memphis, I'm a Southern guy, and so I want to apologize, and I turn around and it's that guy from ER, he's done some stuff, George Clooney, right, it's George Clooney. And so I step on old George's foot, right, and I turn around, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just stepped on George Clooney's foot on the red carpet, shouldn't even been here in the first place, and I'm going to apologize. And so I said, oh, Mr. Clooney, and before I could get words out of my mouth, he goes, Coach Bill? And I'm like, yeah. And he hugs me. George, now something I need to tell you. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I spent a lot of time around a lot of these folks, and there's a reason for makeup artists, because they're not nearly as pretty and good looking in person as you think they are. But George Clooney, he don't need no makeup. He is good looking. It's true, George Clooney is good looking, all right? But he ain't nothing but about like right there. He's just little cute George Clooney, little sit right there. Is what he is. So anyway, George Clooney's hugging on me, and I'm from Memphis, and you know, Southern folks. I said, I ain't gonna hug George Clooney, so I dig in, I'm hugging back, right? Like, hey, George, what's up, boy? You know, hugging like this. And there she is, my beautiful wife, sitting on the edge of that red carpet in her gown and all her jewelry and her hair done up. They sent the makeup artist. She didn't need them either, but it just made her even that. And I thought, oh, she ain't been impressed yet. But I got George Clooney right here. So I give her one of these. I got George dug in because he ain't nothing but about like this right here. I can see her real good like this, and I give her one of these. I'm like, I got George Clooney. Her mouth looks like the end of an uncooked hot dog. She's giving it this. We finished the night. We win the Academy Award, for goodness sakes, and the next morning we wake up and I said, baby, can you believe this? She said, no. I said, I got a question though. Why last night when George and I were hooked up on the red carpet, were you so displeased with me? She said, you acting like a fool. She said, you're from Memphis. You ain't no movie. Don't you know, you're out there in front of all the press the entire world has to offer. Cameras, video, people taking still shots, and you're hugging on George Clooney like he's your best friend. If he sees you today, he won't even know who you are, and he'll cross the road to get away from you. Have you forgotten who you are? Have you forgotten what got you here in the first place? She said, I'm going to tell you something. If you're going to start thinking you're something you're not, I don't want anything to do with it. Have you forgotten who you are? Have you forgotten why you are where you are today? And if getting to where you are today has made you think you're something you're not, I don't want to be any part of you. Fourth thing about my wife is she's pretty smart. It's a question I think we all need to ask ourselves while we're hugging on George Clooney, metaphorically. There's this thing called keep it real in our house because of that instance and all the others. Every time, I swear to you, when I left here, she said, you keep it real. So after all this, you know, I got an agent and all that, not because I really want an agent, but because I have a business to run and teams to coach, and I've got 4 children, and I have a life, and they handle most all this stuff. And so it's keep it real. And Lisa said, fine, I don't mind if you do the book or the TV show or the press or speak all the time. I don't mind if you do that, but it's not for money. You're going to go out there and you're going to keep it real, and you're going to say stuff that needs to be said, or I don't want you to do it. So it's keep it real. So that's what we do. So I'm at the Olympic. I'm in Colorado Springs not long ago at the Olympic Committee. I say not long ago. It's a few years ago now. Before they were going off to, and it's the entire Olympic team and all their coaches and family, and it's, I don't know, 8,000 people. It's huge. And the venue's downstairs, and I'm going down the escalator, and I'm keeping it real. And I mean, it's a pretty important speech, and so I'm kind of collecting my thoughts, keeping it real. And I'm going down the escalator in the venue, and I look up at the bottom of the escalator over there on the left are these 2 girls, and I figure they're like track or swim. They're just really good-looking girls. I mean, they're just, and I do what every married man would do is I notice a good-looking girl, and I look away, and I pick back, and then I just don't look anymore because I'm happily married, and I'm keeping it real. But they're like, yeah. And so, and really, yeah. And so, and they the first one looks up and says, "Oh, look, there he is, there he is." And I'm like, yeah, here I am. And her friend goes, "Oh, I know him too, but hold on, I thought Chris Farley had died." Yeah, I do not live in a van down by the river, so it's really weird when you don't keep it real, how life has an interesting way of kind of bringing you back into the fold. So in honor of my wife and in honor of our mantra, I have 20 minutes left, and I want to spend those 20 minutes with you keeping it real. And I want to keep it real about leadership. We have an abject loss of it in our country today. We have it in our schools, we have it in our communities, we have it in our politics, we have it everywhere. A lot of guys can get up here and say something like that, but I want to make the case. Here's the case. We have a 30% approval rating of Congress. We have a recently bumped 50% approval rating of the White House, but for the last 6 years it's hovered in the 30s. 68% of Americans feel like we're on the wrong path. We have a 49% divorce rate. Forbes, in 1980, 7 out of every 8 American startup companies in the United States were profitable within the first 24 months. In 2015, only 35 years later, 7 out of 8 American startup companies failed within the first 24 months. We have gone from an 85% or so success rate to an 85% failure rate in our country in 35 years. So we have divorces. We have no trust in government or leadership. We have failing businesses. All of you will remember, and we're not going to get into I do that speech, but we're not going to do the speech about Baltimore. All of you remember it. Forget the day it happened. Remember the day after when 400 kids got out of school and started rioting in the streets and throwing rocks at the police? Please tell me you remember that. Please raise. Everybody remember that? I don't want to have to go, okay, everybody got it? Right. So the police, obviously under enormous pressure, to protect and serve, but not go beat up a bunch of kids, are kind of holding the line. And the kids are throwing rocks and bricks and bottles, and then as they back up, the police keep their line, and the line keeps going back and forth. Helicopters, it was on Fox, it was on CNN, it was on everything. Everybody saw it. The whole world tuned in to watch these 400 kids leave high school and actually riot and fight police who were basically powerless to do anything. And it was awful. And everybody was watching on TV. And the biggest story to come from it was one lady who was sitting in her kitchen with her house slippers on and her hair in curlers watching it on TV. And as she watched a rock hurl, she looked up and said, "Oh no, that's my son." And she only lived a block away. And she ran down and crossed the police line in the midst of these 400 crazy kids rioting and snatched his little rear end up and took him home and literally was kicking him in his butt, telling him to get on home. "No, you're not going to be down in the middle of this." And his face was like, "I'm sorry." Took him on. And that made national news the next day. That made national news that this mother waited in amongst and got this kid out. And God bless her, but the press got it wrong. The national story should have been that 399 didn't. We have an abject loss of leadership in our society today. We have it in our politics, we have it in our press, we have it in our businesses, we have it in our families, we have it in our parenting, we have it everywhere. And we wonder why. We wonder why the tapestry is feeling tattered and pulled and torn. And I'm telling you, it's because we don't lead anymore.